Good morning, everybody. Testing 1, 2, 3. I hope you're all doing incredibly well. I hope you enjoyed the quiz on Wednesday night at the Wolf Swap quiz. We gave away the prizes. We gave away Moon. We had 3 winners. Danny won, Hidden Agendas won, and Kabir, who I think is also in chat, he also won. 3 winners. And next Wednesday, we're going to do the Mew quiz. Now, this will probably be the last of 4 for a little while. Not because we don't enjoy doing the quizzes, not because we don't want to give you any more money, but we don't just want to do quizzes. So maybe what we will do is have maybe 2 quizzes a month and then 2 streams a month about projects or, you know, whatever takes our fancy. So it nearly went without a hitch. We had the most people viewing it. I think we got 15,000 views on Binance. Now, to put that into context, these streams that we do on a morning, they normally get 1,000 to 5,000 views. When we do our normal Wednesday nights, we get 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 views. We get 3 times the number of views, and somebody joked that maybe nobody else was streaming, and that could very well be the case. But I want to think it's the fact that we ran a quiz. So, congratulations to the winners. If you didn't win, then you've always got next time, which is next week. We're going to be giving away, probably do the same thing again, 3 prizes, 3 lots of Mew. Probably not going to have a first, second, and third. Just give the top 3 people maybe $15 of Mew each. That's next Wednesday. Anyway, let's get on with the show. We have a few people in chat today to say hello to. Danny is here, I believe. Alpha is here. Hidden is here. KB is here. Who else is here? Manjeet is here, and Kabir is here. Yeah, we were making some jokes. Mary on Wednesday was driving, or she was traveling or whatever, and she couldn't play the quiz, and therefore she didn't win the quiz. And we were joking that she was on her way to invade Finland, and Danny is now going to have to apply for Finland citizenship. That's just what happens when you are married to somebody that likes to take over countries. I'm sure Melania feels the same. Now then, what we're going to talk about today, of course, we're going to talk about the FOMC, of course. We're also going to talk about XRP. We're going to talk about Circle. We're going to talk about Dupe. A massive change to the way that Dupe is going to operate moving forward. We're also going to be talking about 2 AI tokens. Which one should you be holding out of the 2? We're going to have a look at the hack that happened, not in crypto this time, and then we're going to finish with NFTGs, as I have so eloquently named them. NFTGs. And if you want to know what an NFTG is, you will have to wait for the end of the show. If you are new here, smash the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. We stream pretty much every day. We streamed last night. The Oracle streamed last night. We are trying to set up the streaming with Oracle so he gets the biggest bang for buck. And what we mean by that is the best time for him to stream to get the most audience. And it's impossible. We are trying to find different time slots. Maybe we need to change the thumbnails. Maybe we need to change the headlines. But he doesn't get the viewership that we get on this 11 o'clock slot. Maybe it's because he doesn't stream every day, whatever it might be. But we're going to jiggle it around a bit. We did have a partnership. We parted waves. So it was a parted waves partnership. No, completely amicable. But we are going to be streaming on another platform as soon as possible. We were trying to get it set up last night. It didn't quite work, so we're going to work on that as well. So the Oracle is still knocking around, and we might have some breaking news about another partner. But that is all in the pipeline. I suppose we should get on with the show, shouldn't we? Let me go and bring up the prices. As you will see, the title of the show today is Trump Fury. And why is the orange man so red? Very simply put, Jerome Powell is not doing what Trump wants. And Trump is very much like a spoilt baby. He wants that toy, and you don't give it to him, and he has a tantrum. And then 5 minutes later, he's fine. Until you don't give him his second toy, and then he really kicks off. And that's what it is. Jerome Powell is the father figure in this relationship, and Trump is the 2-year-old baby. But there we go. Bitcoin coming in at $106,000. Now, many of you in chat and some of you in Telegram were telling me that Bitcoin was going to be below $100,000 today. We're not. We're at 106,000. There's only one thing that is going to bring Bitcoin below $100,000 now, in my opinion, and that is a full-scale change in direction of America on the world stage with what's going on right now. And if they make that change, it won't just be Bitcoin that goes down, everything will go down. And Bitcoin is not immune to global events. That's the only thing that's going to bring it down. And when I mean bring it down, I mean bring it down dramatically. Conversely, if we don't break 108, 109,000 by the end of June, I think we're going to have the most boring summer ever since 2014, where we went sideways for what felt like a year. And I think it was about 7 months we went sideways and down. So if we don't break 110,000, say, by the end of this month, I can see us going from 106 to 90s by September, because I think we've got one more dip in us before the bull run, before the end of the bull run, if we have the end of the bull run, that is. So I think we're at a kind of point where we need a black swan, and it has to be a big black swan, because every black swan we've had in the last few weeks hasn't really moved us, and it's become boring. And saying that Bitcoin is boring at $106,000, you got to put that into context. Bitcoin was boring at $40,000. Would I rather be bored at 106 or bored at 40? I'd rather be bored at 106, of course I would. So 106,000 for Bitcoin, more than happy with that. It is actually up a couple of percent over the last week, which is incredible. Ethereum, 25.5. Again, what are we waiting for on Ethereum? We're waiting on the staking rewards for the ETF. That's what we're waiting for. That's not just going to pump Ethereum probably over 3,000. That is also going to pump Solana, because Solana is one of the next two ETFs. So, I would expect Solana to go somewhere near $200 on that. There are, of course, prices to the downside on all of these coins. Ethereum can easily go to 2,400. Solana could probably go to about 130, 132, I don't know, something like that. Maybe another 10% down. So the coins can go up as well as down, as the saying goes. But on a positive note, we're still at 106,000, and we've had an awful lot thrown at crypto in the last 6 months, including tariffs. Now then, further down, Tron has flipped Doge. I would be more than happy to see Cardano, Hype, and Bitcoin Cash all flip Doge. I would like to see Doge flipped by FTX token. I'd like to see Doge flipped by the Rank 1000 token. I do not like that project at all, and that's just a personal belief. Cardano is coming in, and guess what? It's at 60 cents. If we lose 60 cents on Cardano and we start getting down towards 55 cents and 50 cents, I'll be more worried. 60 and 80 cents are the two prices for Cardano for me. Going back up to XRP, it's just under the $2.20 mark, $2.20 and $2.50. If we lose that and we start going towards $2, maybe we break $2, I'll be more worried about that as well. But we're not there yet. Let's see what happens. Maybe we have a dumpy weekend. Maybe we finish today on 106,000 and we go into the weekend and we come out on Monday morning, we're at 102,000. That is possible. And again, in the grand scheme of things, that's a 3% move for Bitcoin, but it will be a bigger move for the alts. That's why most of you are in pain right now, because the alt season hasn't happened. So you're watching the Bitcoin bros take all the gains and you're suffering. And that's just part of being in crypto, unfortunately. It's just one of those things. Now, gainers then, we've got Kaya. GT token has gone up 11%. That token, remember, has a buyback and burn scheme. They burn their tokens every once in a while. And a lot of the times it pumps. That token was up at $25, $28 not that long ago. So I think $16.90 is fine. And in the bull run, GT, BNB, OXB, those tokens are going to do well. They're exchange tokens. They'll do well if they've got a buyback and burn scheme in there. Say the lost coin. I think if Indiana Jones was going to come back and he was going to make a new movie, it would be Indiana Jones and the Search for Say. That's what I think it would be. That needs more bullish momentum. I think Story, we've not mentioned that for a long time on here. Bitcoin Cash, we've not mentioned. SV, we've not mentioned. Pudgy is up. Pudgy is doing an awful lot of work. I think it's got its own book out. It's going to have its own cartoon out. It's doing well. Now, again, whenever you see the likes of Aero pump 40% in a week and you see it come down 5%, it's not the end of its run. It's profit taking. It's overbought, all of those kind of things. What you're looking for in the bottom here is any kind of coin that's been suffering for a week or 30 days that appears to be on a slide. You can see on the chart here the coins that have been on a slide for a week, and they've maybe run out of steam. Now, SPX, that, I think the Oracle called it to go to 124, 127. It's gone above where he suggested, which is great. If you got in and watched his stream and got that, fantastic. But remember, if you see somebody show you a bullish setup, and that bullish setup takes you to 127 or 130, and you get to 130 and you don't sell, and then that coin goes 130, 125, 120, 110, you can't then go back to the person and say, but you told me it was going to go to 130. It's not going to go to 130 and stay there, is it? Imagine, you know, in the bear market, somebody tells you Bitcoin's going to drop from 30 to 25, and you hold on, and it goes to 15, 16,000. You can't blame him because it's gone lower, because you should have sold it when he sold. And it's the same on the way up. If somebody says Bitcoin's going to go to $155,000, and you want to sell at 130 and you sell, you might be getting out at the right time. Maybe it doesn't go to 155. So if somebody gives you a setup, play the setup. Don't just buy the token because they're going to say it's going to go up. So I hope you all did well out of that token. I don't cover it because I think it's influencer-led. Other ones down there, not many. I mean, pretty much we're all good. We've not got many X-Files today. I couldn't find too many interesting ones. And you know, I don't like to bore. The face is boring enough. Boring enough. Here we go. Okay, good morning, Charles. A bevy of black swans. Now, if there was one term to give away your ethnicity, is it ethnicity, nationality maybe, it's bevy. Certainly, a bevy, I think, is an Australian term as well as a UK term. Right then, this is something I keep an eye on. Now, we are at 2,077,000 Bitcoin on exchanges. And I'm going to tell you something now. The world of Bitcoin will descend into chaos at major milestones. And one of those major milestones is when we break 2 million Bitcoin on exchanges. And the reason is the narrative will switch you to panic. And they will tell you there are less than 2 million Bitcoin on exchanges. Now, to put this into context, I believe we were at 2.5 million in January or November. November last year or January, I can't remember which one. But it coincided with Trump winning the election. And since then, we've lost 500,000 Bitcoin off exchanges in 6 to 8 months. Now, based on that fact, we have 2 years, maybe even 18 months of Bitcoin left on exchanges at the current level of demand. Now, you know and I know that's never going to happen. We're never going to go to zero. That's just stupid. But what has to happen for it to stop cascading down? People have to move their Bitcoin to exchanges to sell them. Yes, but they'll only do that when the price goes up. So the supply shock, which is probably going to make me wrong on my price prediction, that happens at 2 million. And maybe if we've got time and it gets down to 1.8, 1.7, maybe it happens in November, December time. But believe you me, every news article will cover the fact that Bitcoin has gone below 2 million. Now that was at 2.09 a week and a bit ago. It's now 2.077. So already it's coming down. Now, James Wynn. This is one of those stories a little bit like BitBoy Crypto, where they make it and then they lose it. And James Wynn became an overnight failure story, really. It wasn't really a success story. where he got liquidated about 19 consecutive times and then blamed some mysterious cabal that exists somewhere in his head. And now he's become a permabull on X. And the reason I think he's become a permabull is he put a short in from 108,000. And he was celebrating when it was at 104, 103 something. And now we're back at 106. So I'm expecting more of these kinds of posts. But if you follow people on X and you watch them, ask yourself why they're saying what they're saying. James Wynn was mega bullish on Bitcoin. And then he got liquidated all the time. Literally 18 times on the trot. And now he's got a short in and he's trying to be the biggest bear in history because he's got a short in. And the further the price goes down, the more he makes. But I don't think he realizes that outside of crypto Twitter, there's a big wide world of people that are buying and selling Bitcoin that have no idea who he is. So just be careful you follow. There's a lot of these very dramatic people on X. And I think that's one of the reasons that people are so fearful about the price of Bitcoin and the end of the Bitcoin bull run. You have to try and be objective, and it is hard. There's things I don't like. I don't like Dogecoin, but you've got to be objective. Now then, I put a tweet up about this, actually. You know what? My tweet is better than this tweet. I've done a better tweet. I'm going to show you my tweet instead, which is this one. The hard truth. You see? The hard truth. Maple Finance, obviously, are one of the sponsors of the channel. I haven't done an update in a week because they just keep releasing too many. There's too many partnerships. It's very difficult. I can't tweet about them every day. So what I tried to do was summarize at the end of this week where they've got to. And Syrup USDC has been around for 11 months. It's now the third largest yield-bearing stablecoin in the world. There's a nice graphic down here about this. If we bring up the graph, where is the graph? Is it at the beginning? Give me a second. Let me bring this up. There we go. This is going to show you now. It'll come up in a minute. In a minute, it'll come up. Okay, there we go. So these are the biggest stable coins, yield-bearing stable coins in the world. Now, USDE, which is Athena, I'm not a fan of because I think that's an algorithmic stablecoin. I think it's backed by Bitcoin. Then you have Sky. Then you have Maple. And then you have an interesting one, which is Ondo. Now, I don't believe that Ondo has... I think Ondo has a market cap of about 6 to 8 billion. Maple, which has a bigger stable coin, more Bitcoin loans. I think it's got almost... I think it's maybe 50% higher TVL. And the market cap of Syrup, I think, is about a 12th of Ondo. So that's why we are fans of Maple. Because I think they are a sleeping giant. And like I've said to many people, when they're at 12 or 13 cents, you need to get in on this. I don't even check the price of Syrup anymore. Once it broke 50 cents on the way up, I don't look at it anymore. Because as far as I'm concerned, if you bought at 12 or 13 cents, you're 400% in profit. I don't need to keep checking that. Right then, now this is a bit of a warning. I normally put these at the end, but this is quite an important one because we've been attacked by this. Probably once every 2 months we get one of these, and what happens is you get somebody come along. So KB will contact me and say, right, Mike, I've got somebody that wants to partner with Crypto Warehouse. Can we set up a call? Absolutely. KB then sends me a Google Meet link. Fine, click on it in the waiting room. Then you get a message saying, really sorry, but guess what? They can't use Google Meet because they are in Pyongyang, okay? You have to click on this link. And you're already down the corridor of commitment. Now, if anybody ever contacts you and pretends to be me, or KB, or Danny, or Crypto Lifer, or Ben Cowan, or anything like that, and tries to get you onto a call, be known that that has Trojan viruses in it, and you will install it on your computer, and it will drain your wallets. So even though I've put that at the start, I normally put it at the end. This is a really high-profile case. Many people have seen this, nearly 700,000 views. The guy even put fake pictures up on the call to make it look like the person it was supposed to be. And this is from somebody who he's known for years, but the guy he's known for years got hacked. So even if it's me and I say to you, Mike, if I say Danny, for example, whatever you do, you got to come on and speak to me on Google Meet. We're going to have a chat. And then I get Danny to Google Meet, and then I change it at the last minute. It's not me. And I'm not saying it's going to happen to me, but we've got impersonators on X, we've got impersonators on Telegram. They're going to try and get you on a call. Maybe it's a private one-to-one offering, whatever it might be. And we're not even a big channel. So could you imagine if you were following Crypto Banter? Imagine if you were following Ben Cowan? It happens. It really does. Just be really careful. Now then, I'm not really a shill for Binance, even though we stream on their platform. I hold BNB on Binance, and one of the things I like about it, and it's the same to some respect with other platforms, but you have to do things on other platforms. If you just put your BNB in the Earn program, it doesn't pay you a lot, 0.5%, 0.3%, whatever it might be, but you're getting airdrops. Every week you'll get an airdrop. Now, if you add up the value of those airdrops over the course of a month and then over the course of a year, I think it works out 8 to 12%, something along those lines, of airdrops that you get. So if you hold, I don't know, $1,000 of BNB, you will get anywhere between $80 and $120 a year in airdrops. And I've been getting these airdrops now for probably a year, and so I know. And what I normally do, as I've said to you 1,000 times before, is that the majority of them I sell. I sell them, I don't hold them. They could be the greatest product since spam was invented. I'm still going to sell them for BNB. Very rarely do I hold them. So anyway, make sure to go and check that out. If you're obviously on Binance, that's where we stream as well as YouTube. But if you're on Binance and you've got BNB, stick it into BNB Earn and leave it there. And the other thing that Binance has launched is like soft staking, which you can turn on, and you can earn 0.5% or 1% on your assets that are just in your account. So I like that. And I also like the Bitcoin native, not the Bitcoin native, the Bitcoin yield program that they've got with Solve. I think it's 2.5% or 2.7%. I've been talking about this in videos a lot. Bitcoin yield from centralized exchanges is one of the next big things. How do they get Bitcoin onto exchanges when they're losing their Bitcoins? They do it by offering you rewards for having the Bitcoin on those platforms. So my favorite, and I have spent an eternity looking at this, my favorite is CoreDAO, okay? And the reason it's my favorite is it's non-custodial. So you have your Bitcoin in your wallet and you stake it to CoreDAO, and if you want to also stake the CoreDAO tokens, you can, and you get a yield. And if you do it the right way, you'll get 5 or 6%, but it's non-custodial. They don't hold your Bitcoin. That's my favorite right now. Now, clearly, if your Bitcoin is on Binance, you don't care about custody, use the Solve product at 2.7%, and then you don't have to worry about the heartache of that. But anyway, let me check chat. I've not checked chat for a while. I think I saw somebody in there the other day. Simon is here. Happy Friday indeed. And Bullish Bull is here. I hope you are all well. Simon, I have a proposition for Monkey Muscle, which I will DM the Monkey Muscle account about in a couple of days when everything is sorted out. Anyway, June FOMC meeting takeaway. There he is. I told you, no rate cut. And how did I know? Am I psychic? No, I'm not psychic. They told you. They told you several times. And you had your favorite X people telling you, are they going to cut? Are they going to hold? Are they going to cut? Are they going to hold? Trying to make some kind of engagement farm out of it. 99.9% certain they were going to hold, and they held. And now Trump is kicking off at him. But this man is what stands between Donald Trump and global domination. There's only one man standing up to him, and it's not Keir Starmer, because he's kneeling down to pick up the papers that Trump dropped on purpose to make him kneel down. He's the only man that said no to Trump. and he's still in his job. And I'm with him. I actually agree with Powell on this. What's happening in the world is causing oil prices to go up, and oil is energy. And when energy prices go up, everything goes up. The cost of your loaf of bread, the cost of your bottle of what kind of cider, the cost of Strongbow cider that KB is going to drink in the park tonight. All of that's going to go through the roof because oil goes up and the cost of transports and everything else goes up. So you can't cut when there is the possibility of conflict. You also can't cut when you don't have trade deals agreed with the likes of China. So what is he expecting Powell to do? Put a blindfold on and say, sure, let's cut rates. Because I guarantee when it goes south, and it will, who is going to get the blame? Donald Trump will be long gone. Powell will be up in front of a court being done for malpractice. So he's got to do his job, and he's doing the right thing. Should they cut in August or September? I think they miss a month, don't they? They miss August or something. They're probably not going to cut now till September. By September, we're going to have the China trade deal agreed. We're hopefully going to have conflict coming to an end or come to an end by September. So I would expect September, maybe November rate cuts. That's what I would expect. We wanted 3. Things happen in the world. We're now going to get 2. So that's my takeaway. And, you know, he is not going to be bullish when it's kicking off. As we would say in the North, it's kicking off. You're not going to cut rates when it's kicking off. So anyway, I think Powell is absolutely right, and you can tell by the price action of Bitcoin. Nobody expected a rate cut apart from the super key opinion leader shillers that you follow out there, who will have been telling you that once the rate cuts happen, we're going to go to the moon. Again, look back at what people were saying on Monday and Tuesday and ask yourselves, are those the people that you should be following? Next up on this, here we go, this is to do, where's the title of this article? Here we go. Big move for XRP, Ripple-backed ETF launches in Canada. Now, normally these things I kind of pass over because it's normally to do with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, the reason Bitcoin and Ethereum are smaller deals when it happens in Canada is because they have huge market caps. You know, 300, 400 billion. Bitcoin is what, 2.1, something like that, billion. So, of course, it doesn't have that much of an effect. Now, Ripple is a lot smaller. What's Ripple at now? 80 billion? Let's have a look. I don't think Ripple's at 100 billion, is it? What's Ripple? Oh, it's 127 billion. I keep forgetting we pumped, didn't we? So 127 billion, okay? So it's a third of the size of Ethereum, okay? Now, so it's a smaller market cap. So these smaller exchanges, they're not really going to move the price of Ripple to $4, $5. But they are going to chip away and they are going to create a little bit of demand for Ripple. The likes of Cathie Wood, for example, from ARK Invest. She has been known on many occasions to buy Canadian ETFs. So even though it's not as important for Bitcoin and Ethereum, these are really positive moves for XRP. And again, I know XRP is a little bit like Marmite for people. People don't like XRP. People do. People think it's the next greatest thing. They think that Brad is a shiller. I'm on the fence. I think you can get a bit of both. If you're going to make money out of something, does it really matter? According to the announcement, XRPQ will hold its XRP coins in cold storage, kept separate for each investor to cut down the chance of a hack. Now, that is a no-no for me. This is going to be offered to retail and institutional clients. So if you have 55,000 clients, are you going to have 55 separate wallet addresses, 55,000 solid wallet addresses? Is there going to be a minimum on that? That seems like a lot of hard work. I would agree you should maybe have multiple ledgers, absolutely. And maybe you should have multiple ledgers based on institution. Maybe you have a certain institution that buys, I don't know, 20 million XRP. Yes, certainly put it on its own cold storage wallet. But for each investor, it sounds like they're making a lot of work. We're excited to announce the launch of the 3IQ XRP ETF. Again, it's just letters, isn't it? One of the first ETFs in North America, provide exposure to XRP. Again, I'm very happy for them. I think this is a positive move. We are going to see very little in the way of volume through there, but I think that volume is something to bear in mind. It's a smaller market cap, a smaller amount of volume can have a bigger impact on it. So again, mega positive on this. Now, what I'm not positive on is Circle. And the reason I'm not positive on it anymore is because of the price. It's also a heat wave here. And I know the UK has a heat wave. I know the UK is like 30 degrees right now. But my word, it's never normally this hot in June. And I am melting like a snow cone in Phoenix. Right, so Circle has gone to nearly $200. And it's up over 500%. Now, I remember distinctly saying to everybody, I want to buy this at $25 to $28. And then when they changed the offering to $32, $34, I said, I'm still going to get it at about that price. And then it went live and nearly hit $100. And I said, if it retraces to $30, I'm going to buy it. I am not buying and would not even consider looking at Circle at $200. What's happening is stablecoins are the big thing, and anything that's associated with the stablecoin is a big thing. If Tether listed today, it would be $1 trillion company based on hype. And okay, the potential of Tether and Circle are absolutely massive, yes. But think about the revenue generation of each company, and then think about the profit they make, and then look at the valuation, and then say to yourself, is it overvalued? You look at Netflix. For every $500 Netflix spends, it makes $4. I think it might be better now, but back in the day, it would generate $504 for every $500 it spent, simply because it was building and it was expanding. Circle and Tether are money-making businesses. I think Tether is the most profitable business per capita that has ever existed. I think it's even higher than OnlyFans. So both of those companies are great companies and they make a lot of money. But we say this about crypto: a token's price and a project can be two separate things. And I just think that this is massively overpriced right now. And then the only problem with when something is massively overpriced is it will come crashing down. And you're going to say, well, where's the top? I'll tell you where the top is. When Jim Cramer tells you to go and buy Circle, that's the top. And we all know that. So this could end up at what? $300, $250. Jim Cramer will say, I can see this going to $1,000. And the second he says it, you can either short Circle or you can wait for it to drop. Put your buy orders in, because it can't keep going up. Of course, as more and more stablecoins exist, they will make more and more profit, and that will, of course, push the valuation up. But I am not touching a $200 Circle at this moment in time. It's extraordinarily high. Extraordinarily high. Good morning, Tariq. I hope you are well, sir. Tariq was my... I'm not going to call him my sponsored contestant because there was no sponsorship involved, but he was my chosen one to win on Wednesday and came, I think, a valiant fourth. I think Tariq came fourth, but the week before, I think Tariq came second. Top 5 finishes, Tariq. That's all we care about. Top 5. Now then, let's move on. This was going to be a tweet, and I decided to spend a little bit more time on it. Jupiter has been and continues to be one of my picks for the bull run. And the reason is, again, going back to the Circle thing a minute ago, what the product offers and the valuation of the token are, there's a disparity between the two. And maybe it's come about because of the meme issue that I've mentioned before that happened in January. Maybe it's come about from maybe a lack of focus from Jupiter. Maybe it's come about from Meow going and drinking ashwagandha in the middle of a forest somewhere. Maybe all of those things. Maybe it's a combination. So Cash and Meow announced last night that they were getting rid of dupe voting for the rest of the year. And I totally agree with this. The issue is that it never worked properly to begin with. If I said to Tariq, you've got 1,000 dupe, Tariq, and we're going to do an airdrop of tokens to you, and Tariq gets really happy, fantastic. How much is it going to be? You've got to wait for the airdrop. Okay, so then Tariq goes and stacks his dupe. Maybe he goes and buys another 500 dupe. He's got 1,500 dupe. He can't wait for this airdrop. And then the project itself decides on the airdrop going to dupe stakeholders at the time, and Tariq gets $5 worth of an airdrop for his $800, $1,000 worth of dupe. Okay, now dupe is the largest, most focal point on Solana, and you are rewarding people with $3 or $4 of tokens. That's one problem. And then the second problem is, if you look at it from the other point of view, the OGs that were in that project that might have put $10,000 worth of business through that project over the previous 2 years, they might get $40 of an airdrop, and Tariq might get 50. And that's not fair on the OGs to be rewarded less. So the entire thing doesn't work, because you're kicking the OGs in the teeth, and you're kicking Tariq in the teeth, and the person in the middle taking the blame is Jupiter. So I wholeheartedly agree that this is the right thing to do. It doesn't work. And I've made videos about it, and I've said it doesn't work, and I got criticized for making videos about it, and I posted my videos in their discussion forum, and I got criticized for it. But I was speaking the truth. And now a year later, oh, we're going to pause it because it doesn't work as intended. I told you a year ago it didn't work as intended, and I told you what you had to do. Very simply put, before anybody announces anything to do with Jupiter, you tell the dupe stakeholders what they're going to get. You tell the OGs what they're going to get. Okay? And then the project and the OGs discuss. And then the dupe holders, they get a guaranteed 5% of the token, whatever it might be. Okay? Because this, we're not going to tell you until the day nonsense, doesn't work. So the entire thing was a sham. Okay? It was a disaster. But that doesn't detract from what it actually does. It doesn't detract from the fact that they've got Dupe Mobile. They have their Dupe Launchpad. They now have a portfolio scanner that allows you to detect airdrops that you've missed. They build great projects. That's what they do. And I think where they go wrong is every time they deal with somebody else. That's where they go wrong. When they deal with other projects, it just gives them really bad reputation. So they're going to pause it. Okay, and then they start talking in very big words as if they're some kind of movie mogul. They stand at the edge of an inflection point. The window to define the future of DeFi is open, but it won't stay open for long. It's like something out of the never-ending story. Right now, we have the best product suite, the best community, of course. Anyway, so I watched a little bit of it. It makes perfect sense. I'm completely on board with everything that they have done. But the other thing is, there is a rumor that they are going to be doing staking rewards anyway. So you're still going to get some staking rewards in dupe tokens for holding, but you're not going to get any more votes. And again, I think the DAO system, which I've called proof of wealth for a very long time, I think the DAO system needs to be revisited, because much as we like decentralization, much as we like having people make decisions, when it comes down to it, all that matters is how many tokens you hold. Look at Cronos. Cronos, there was a vote to reinstate 70 billion tokens, and all of the major validators that were owned by certain entities voted for, and everybody else voted against. So what was the point of the DAO? What's the point of the DAO vote? There's another DAO vote at the minute to push through slashing transaction fees by 90%. What's the point of it when you know how it's going to go? It's an utter mockery. Utter mockery. It's like the House of Commons with the whip. you have to toe the party line. Well, that's not a decentralised, autonomous organisation, is it? It's just a party, like the Labour Party and the Conservative Party. You have to vote with the Labour Party or you'll get kicked out of the party. So how is it? It's not a democracy. So let's just scrap it. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of energy and it's a waste of time. Now then, I'm going to move on before I get a little bit too heated about this. Thank you, Tariq. No, don't unstake your dupe just yet. Let's see if we get the staking rewards, because just the staking rewards alone, I think you get a decent return, like 6, 7, 8%. So let me find out if we're going to get the ASR rewards every quarter, because if we are, we should be getting one in 2 weeks. So if you're going to unstake, by all means, but if you don't unstake until the ASR rewards drop in July, then unstake. So hang on for basically 2 more weeks. That's what I would do. Right then, let's move on. What are we up to? HODL 1. Now I like these because I'm going to ask you in chat before I tell you what I think. If you could only hold one of these AI tokens, would you hold Potenza or would you hold Render? So, if you're watching and you've not fallen asleep on your keyboard, type Render or Tau in chat. And let's see how many of you are actually awake. Because allegedly, I don't know how many people are watching actually, there's 51 people in here. So if you are watching, let's see if we can get at least 5 replies. Would you hold Render or Tau? That's the question. And I'm going to briefly take you through this. So this was published by Crypto Daily. We don't need to know about these things. Where's the actual... Okay. I'm letting you into a secret. I didn't read this article. This article does not actually have which one you're going to hold. Why doesn't it have that? Okay. So we'll just go through it. Okay, so let's go through this. So I covered Potenza. I made a video about Potenza a year and a half ago. And it's basically a token that rewards development in AI. That's what it was at the time, and I'm sure it's expanded a lot since then. Render is, as you can imagine by the name, a video and graphic rendering project which has ties to Apple. Off the top of my head, I would hold Render for the long term, but that's because it's more commercial. The likelihood is that Potenza could become the decentralized token of AI, but I don't think it will. I think if I have the choice of Render and Apple or Potenza and possibilities, I am taking Render. That's what I would do. Now, we've obviously looked into this quite a lot, you know, the graphic processing and ChatGPT and stuff like that. And we've also made videos. I made a video about Compute 3 AI, COM, the token. It's a tiny token. We have no association with them. We are not paid by them. But we like that project. It's 90% cheaper to use COM than it is to use any one of these other graphics rendering projects. So if you're using an NFT project and you want to create a video, then you can go and use COM and pay 90% less. But of the two, I would choose Render. I thought there was an article about that. I'm really sorry. Did anybody put what they would keep? Render? Yeah, I would keep Render. Yeah, I mean, the only thing you need to know about Render is it's processing the AI images for Apple. That's really its biggest claim to fame. And Potenza, I think Potenza, I reviewed this when it first came out, and it didn't have a great deal of utility. And because it didn't have a great deal of utility, I think I was fairly negative on it. But that's to be expected. You know, if I review a project and it doesn't really do anything, I'm not going to be overly optimistic and positive on it because it doesn't do anything. You know what I mean? If you took me to a field and you showed me a big concrete box on the floor and I say, what's that? And you said, that's a 6-bedroom solar-powered mansion. I'd look at it and go, no, it's not. It's a load of concrete that you've poured into the ground. and you've shown me a picture of what it's going to look like, but the house isn't here yet. That's what reviewing a lot of projects really early on is like. And yes, there's a little bit of an imagination involved, but you can't overhype stuff. I don't think we've ever really overhyped an awful lot of stuff in the time I'm thinking. We talk positively about stuff that we think has an awful lot of potential. Of course we do. But normally they've got a deliverable and it's just not been taken up yet. So there's a difference. Mantra is the perfect example. We reviewed Mantra before it had even gone live. And in my video, it says it needs adoption. And if it gets adoption, it's going to go to the moon. My opinion of Mantra has not changed one jot. And the other day, they announced the next 6 or 8 incubated projects that are going to be using the Mantra chain. They're going to have 50, 60 projects on there this time next year. And people are still moaning about the price. We know what happened with the price. It was a liquidity crash on a Sunday. That doesn't affect the project. It might affect the burn of the project if they held it in tokens, yes. Now then, this is pretty bad, okay? Bad things have happened in the past. This is pretty bad. 16 billion passwords have given hackers a blueprint to drain wallets, says this crypto security alert. A massive wave of compromised credentials now surfacing from the dark corners of the internet, threatening billions of users across major platforms with real-time exploitation risks. And there is a picture of a man trying to use a pair of leather gloves on what looks like some kind of AI-generated device. Very nice. I'd take the gloves off if I was him. A recent data breach has exposed 16 billion credentials from Apple, Google, Facebook, Telegram, and GitHub. The Cyber News research team uncovered the leak, described it as one of the largest dumps ever recorded, with serious implications for online users, crypto security, and digital assets management. Leaked in a fresh wave. I mean, this is just absolutely appalling, isn't it? It's not just a leak, it's a blueprint for mass exploitation. Over 16 billion login records exposed, unprecedented access to personal credentials. Now, I'm not going to read it all out. It's not really that super important. But what I want to tell you about this is, you probably use exchanges. And if you've got a hot wallet or a ledger, that what I've just read out is totally irrelevant. Totally irrelevant. If you've got a ledger and you're not signed up to their scheme where they can restore it, and you've got that ledger in a safety deposit box, this doesn't bother you. If you've got a hot wallet and no one's going to get you 16 word or 12 word key phrase, no one's going to get it, you're safe. If your money is on Binance, you need to go to the security section on Binance and you need to turn on Google 2FA, but that's not going to save you. Anti-phishing code, that's not going to save you. You might want to consider having your mobile authenticator turned on, so it sends you an SMS. You also might want to look at getting a passphrase. I think it's called a passphrase. You might want to get that turned on as well. You want to make sure that everything on all of your exchanges is turned on to the max to keep you safe, okay? Because, a lot of people out there use the same password for Apple, Google, Binance, wherever else. And yeah, they can get past one level of protection. Then if they know your Gmail account, they may be able to go and get your 2FA. So that's down. But that you're making it harder by introducing a passphrase. You're making it harder by introducing the SMS element to it. So change your passwords, set up 2FA, set up SMS, key phrase or passphrase, whatever they call it, set that up as well. Just make yourself as secure as you can. And if you do have an awful lot of money, seriously consider investing in some kind of ledger. That would be my advice. And I would also, and this is equally as important as everything I've just said, never buy a cold storage wallet from anyone other than the supplier. Only buy it from Ledger, and only buy it from, is it Tenza? I think. Only buy it from them. Don't buy it from anywhere else, because otherwise you are going to be compromised, and I don't want that. So again, I know a lot of the time we don't talk about price action, we don't talk about new tokens and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I would rather you have 100% of your funds safe and not lost than you having a load of alt coins and your account getting hacked. Because 100% of something is, 50% of something is worth more than 100% of nothing. And I'd rather you keep it safe. Now then, this is the last one. I've decided to call them NFTGs. I think it'll take off. I think it will catch on. Okay, NFTs for Telegram. NFTGs. It's not in this article because I've made it up. Okay, if you see it online, it's copyright me. I'm the first person to say it. NFTGs. The Telegram collectibles boom is Web3 gaming's next big play. Now, I don't like games. I don't like games on Telegram. I don't like click-to-earn games. I don't like a lot of things in Web3 that are emissions-based. And games tend to be emissions-based because there's sell pressure. There's no buy pressure. NFTs are a little bit different, especially if those NFTs unlock certain rewards. You know, I know I'm not against NFTs. You know, if you were to go to Starbucks at Halloween and they have a special green coffee because it's Halloween and you can only get it if you're a super duper VIP, I'm a mate with Tariq NFT, then you'll get that coffee. And if you're not, you can't have it. I am all for that because it drives loyalty to Starbucks, for example, but it also drives that little bit of exclusivity. You know, there has to be some level of exclusivity. You know, you join a VIP club, what do? You put an email address and a password and now you're a VIP. You've not done anything for that. NFTs are a way of rewarding people for their loyalty, and I'm all for that. Season tickets, flight tickets, all for that as well. When it comes to these clicky games, the first and best thing you should do is sell everything the second you get it. My advice, don't have to take it, not financial, of course. Telegram is rapidly becoming the most important Web3 gaming platform. I can't argue with that. Ton is in the Ton wallet, by the way. They made the change, didn't they, about 6 months ago, where now everything has to be on Ton. I think that's a fair move. I genuinely do. I think that's a fair move. It's their wallet. It's their messaging platform. Why shouldn't you use their blockchain? Totally agree with that. And that's going to drive adoption of Ton. That's going to drive adoption of the Ton chain, the Ton token. I'm all for it. And there are real reasons to be bullish on Ton. Okay? And it just needs to find the right way to get adoption. You know, payments, for example, tips, things like that. The collectibles are driving a new form of NFT-based user acquisition, replacing traditional ads with gameplay-driven referral loops, wallet onboarding and monetization, all within the chat interface. Game studios like Goat Gaming are leveraging Telegram native mechanics to build viral campaigns, unlock new revenue models, and reimagine player engagement around collectibles as both assets and infrastructure. Now, I actually reviewed a project called, I can't remember what it was called, Cron. And what Cron did was you would play the game. It was a little bit, I think the demo they gave, it was a little bit like Grand Theft Auto. And you walked around and you saw an advert for McDonald's on the board in the game. And you clicked on it and it would send you an NFT to your wallet. And you'd be able to take that NFT to McDonald's and cash it in for a discount or a free cheeseburger or something like that. So it was in-game NFT rewards. For advertisers, it's a godsend because it's direct. That NFT can directly be tracked back to the game. So these advertisers that advertise on EA Sports football games, FIFA, they'll advertise on the side hoardings, and they don't know how many people take up the offers. You know, they've no idea. You know, why does Coca-Cola sponsor everything? It's not because they want to. It's to stop Pepsi from sponsoring it. That's the only reason they do it. They don't do it for acquisition. So a lot of these things, there's no cause and effect. With this type of stuff, imagine you are watching Man United play Liverpool in the European Cup final, okay? And you've got a Telegram chatbot open, and it's the official Man United chatbot. and it says, click here to get a special Man United pizza at halftime. And you click there, and it sends you an NFT to your phone. Or an NFT goes into your Domino's app. And then you open your Domino's app, which is on the same film as Telegram, and it pops up and it says, do you want to use your Man United pizza NFT now? Yes. Bing. Domino's can see the absolute usage of that campaign in real time. That's not what something that's not really how Web3's been working all this time, or gaming's been working all this time. It works in Web 2, where you click on an advert and you buy the goods. Of course, you've got click-through rates and stuff like that. So this is a really positive move for me. And I would say, if there's a curve and you're at the base of the beginning of this curve, certainly have a look at getting into it. Have a look at what Telegram games are coming out, but my advice is always sell it straight away and take the money and run. That's always been my advice. Right then, that is, let me close this down. There we go. Okay, so that's the end of today. Now, it's 4 minutes to go. I am trying to get this done in an hour. We do quite well these days. We did overrun the other day, yes. We do try and get it done by 12 o'clock, and then I can have a normal little chat about stuff. It's Friday as well, and I don't really want to overrun because I imagine the pub's probably open in about 4 minutes for some of you, and I am sure it's getting so hot that some of you will need siestas, so I'll keep it quick. So basically next week we will be doing the show Monday, Tuesday, Friday at this time. Wednesday night we got Mew coming up, so we're going to do a Mew quiz on Wednesday night. The Oracle will be streaming, probably trying to work now if he does Monday and Thursdays, and we're going to try and work on a time where he can come on and chat to you guys and you can ask questions and whatever it might be, or KB and the Oracle can decide that Bitcoin's going to go to $90,000 and I'm going to come in to chat and disagree with them, the usual kind of stuff. So that'll be happening. Now, sponsors. One thing we want to point out is the sponsorships that we have, they are on 3-month contracts. So Maple, WolfSwap, Mew, we review every 3 months. In July, we have our next window, and we have some sponsors that we may or may not bring on. And the reason I bring this up is that we are looking for sponsors in non-competing markets. So we're looking for a Bitcoin product at the minute to work with. We've spoke to a few, it's taking forever. One of the ones that we're going to be working with is a gaming one. And they do football stuff, and they do lots of other things. And we're talking to them, nothing's in writing. But this stream and the stream that the Oracle does will not be impacted by it. And the reason it won't be impacted by it is it involves a certain level of betting. I've got to be very careful what I say as well, because we're on Binance as well. So that's one of the ones we're talking to. We're talking to a Bitcoin product. We're talking to a product on Sonic, a Sonic product. And we are talking to, who's the one we're talking to now? We are talking to, I can't give the game away really, a yield product where you can get yield on your crypto. And then why am I telling you this? Because I'm not going to tell you the ins and outs of everything, but I want you to know that there's a lot of stuff goes on. We are very much like a swan. I am clearly a swan. Just look at me, okay? But what you see above the camera is not what's going. This is going in the wrong direction. We're working really hard to bring on more sponsors, and more sponsors means more equipment, more giveaways, more different types of streams, that kind of stuff. And I'm telling you, because we don't just try and sit on our laurels, we are trying to grow the channel, and it's the hardest time to grow the channel because retail's not here. Subscribers aren't picking up as much as they used to. It's just a hard time, but we just want you to know we are working in the background, and we are working all the time. I mean, we do stuff every day, with the odd day off when I'm absolutely knackered, but we are doing stuff every day. Even Sundays, I do the Chronos Pulse on a Sunday. I'll do an OG video on a Sunday. So we are working in the background, and sometimes I think if you only ever watch this stream is 5% of what we're actually doing in the background to grow. And obviously we want to get to the point where we take people on or have our own ambassadors, have Crypto Warehouse ambassadors, where we pay you a small amount of crypto every month to be an ambassador of Crypto Warehouse. So we are working in the background, and it's just a lot of work. And at the minute, there's 2.5 of us. And obviously when we get to like 4 or 5 of us, it's going to be a lot easier, but we're not there yet. So just bear in mind, we are still trying to grow. And the quiz has been a fantastic success. We're going to try and promote that as much as we can as well to other people, maybe do some AMAs with the quiz attached. So we are working away, but we are always very, very grateful for the people that show up every week. We don't expect you to come every day, obviously, but, you know, we know people by name now, and we didn't know that a year ago. You know, the KBs, the Bullish Bulls, the Kishans, the Tariqs, the Dannys, the Jasons. I'm going to miss people's names out, so I'm going to stop talking. Simon comes along. So we are very grateful that you show up, and we will see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. Don't drink too much cider in the park tonight, KB. And also, Simon, where are these viral gorilla videos for Monkey Muscle? I was expecting a viral Monkey Muscle AI video by now. Anyway, have a great weekend, and I will see you all on Monday. Take care.